Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mindset Monday. I am Christine, and I am very excited this week to have a special guest with me. This is Jasmin Blackwood, and you're going to be hearing about her journey through Align and Design Your Life, which is our signature program that helps you to really design a business that is in alignment with the life that you want to live. And we are going to talk with Jasmin today about her experience. And I don't want to do too much introduction. Jasmin, I would love for you to just share with everybody who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Sure. So I'm Jasmin. I am the founder of Blackwood Nutrition, and I work with women in healthcare, and I help them to bounce back from stress and burnout so that they can restore their energy, optimize their metabolism, just get back to feeling really vibrant and great in their skin. A little bit about myself. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids between the ages of 3 and 8. So I'm really busy. So that's me.
Yeah. And so generally what I see, especially with I like to call them our heart-centered entrepreneurs, is that most of the time we launch a business, we become an entrepreneur because we've had some sort of challenge or problem or struggle that we've solved, at least in enough way that we say, okay, I'm coming through this, I've been through this, and now I really want to help others to do this as well. Was that your experience in starting your business?
Yes, for sure. Although when I started my business, my focus was a little bit different, but I'll speak to that later, sort of how I progressed through that. But definitely with my own personal experience, going through burnout, going through stressful situations, not feeling good in my body, it's definitely something that I wanted to help others with, because I know how hard it can be, how challenging it can be, and how much brighter it is on the other side. And I love doing that. And I love doing what I do. And I want to help as many women as possible to have that feeling as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were in healthcare when you experienced this burnout. And that's why these are the people that you really resonate with and like to work with.
Yes, I've been a registered nurse for almost 15 years. So,
oh,
yes.
wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship was like a whole new endeavor for you when you started it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I decided to go back to school and get my registered holistic nutrition diploma. I've
Oh,
always
great.
been passionate about nutrition. And so it was the right path to take for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And how's that journey of entrepreneurship been for you?
So it's definitely interesting. It's new. I've only been at it for about a year, I'd say. Definitely a lot of ups and downs, trying to kind of figure out which direction to go, what kind of support I need, because certainly if I didn't have any support, I don't know where I'd be today, because there's just so many different things, different paths to take, and it's just a lot to take in. Mm-hmm. So so it's been definitely bumpy kind of when I started out to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is so, I think that is the journey for pretty much every entrepreneur, whether it's a brick and mortar or an online business, whether it's service-based or product-based. There's just so many different aspects to learn about from the practical side, but also from the emotional and personal side, which I think is something that most people maybe don't consider when they're first starting a business, like what that personal journey is going to mean as they develop their business. So I like to say, and it's an analogy you'll really get as a registered nurse, becoming an entrepreneur is like ripping off a Band-Aid you didn't know you were wearing.
Yes.
It's like you take off, you're like, wait, what is all this stuff underneath, right? I didn't know I had all these doubts and fears and limiting beliefs and, all that unconscious stuff that doesn't come to the surface unless we're setting a new goal, like we're challenging ourselves to something new. So what was that like for you as you were on your journey? What are some of the things that you were struggling with as you were creating your business?
So definitely kind of like you said, at first, I was so excited last year, November, when I started. I was like, I can't wait. And I started doing some work and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is way harder than I thought it would be. And, definitely, as you kind of experience successes, that's really great. You get really motivated. But then you kind of learn that in a business, it's not always going to be like that. There's ups and downs. And certainly I struggled with a lot of limiting beliefs, like things that came up, like, this is too hard. You can't do this. Like a lot of like that inner critic, that inner chatter would come up. And it's so funny because I've been through burnout when I was a nurse and I got myself out of that. And then as I began, in my journey as an entrepreneur, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm on the road to burnout because I feel so overwhelmed. And I just don't like, I felt like my thoughts were just taking over. And I was like on this roller coaster of emotions quite frequently. And it was very difficult for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that so often with entrepreneurs. And I have this theory. I haven't necessarily proved it other than through lots and lots of personal experience working with, the women in our community, but also with other, women entrepreneurs that I know in different programs and masterminds and whatever, that I think, all those stats on so many new businesses make it to the first year, or make it to the fifth year, or whatever. And I think my theory is that it's really those doubts and the limiting beliefs and the emotional roller coaster and the overwhelm that causes more businesses to cease. It causes people to give up and say, this isn't worth it, more so than maybe anything else. Sometimes obviously there's external factors, right? If you had a brick and mortar and it, the landlord sold the building and you couldn't renew your lease, like that's a problem, right? But I think for the most part, what really creates that, what really stops a business from growing and thriving or continuing is those unconscious limitations that start coming up and people don't know how to handle it. Like, where do you go, right, to work through these things? And I think sometimes we think we're the only one. Like, oh my, I'm looking at everybody on Instagram, building these amazing businesses and they're all doing so great. And like, I'm over here doubting myself. And, last month was great, but this month I haven't had very many sales or any sales. Right. And it's that up and down. So what aspects of that were you experiencing when you said, okay, something's got to change?
Yeah, for sure. So at the beginning of my entrepreneurship, I did have success quite a bit in the beginning and things were going really well. And then, certain things kind of happened. Things weren't going as smoothly as I had hoped. And I definitely was on that, emotional roller coaster. I got, I cried a lot because I just felt so stuck. And I, on several occasions said to my husband, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm not doing this. This is way too hard. Like, I can't just think things will work out. Like, just think positively. Like, that's not really helping me. Cause he would try to console me and say, just keep positive. It's like, like, how do I stay positive when things aren't working out? Right. So I definitely felt that. And I was to the point where, I thought about just not doing it anymore. Kind of like you were saying, actually. Yeah.
I think that's a really, really common turning point. And I don't honestly, if entrepreneurs are being honest, there's not one out there who hasn't had that turning point, maybe several times along the journey, right? So what was it though that made you say, I'm taking quitting off the table and I'm going to keep going?
Well, it was because deep down, I know that I desire to live that life. Like, I want to be my own boss. Yeah. And I want to help these women because I truly care. And I know that I can, help them get to where they want to be. And I learned about, you and your program. I had been following you for quite a while. And a lot of the things that you said really spoke to me. It really spoke to me. And I thought, if I just had, like, I had the support of like strategies and like learning how to do things and like, but I felt like I was really like in that masculine energy of just like doing. And I wasn't doing anything for myself. Like I didn't hang out with the kids as much. I didn't like go for walks as much. Like I started neglecting myself, and I knew something had to change. And I felt very drawn to your program, and I had a lot of hope that it could help me. And I mean, yeah, my life has changed so much on so many levels ever since. And, even though sometimes, in my business things don't go as planned, like that's cool. Like I just catch myself, I'm aware of it. And then I can make that choice of, okay, am I going to sit here and do A, or am I going to choose my next thought and do B and carry on and, be at cause and just do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what has that experience been like for you? Has it been like a shifting of beliefs? Has it been like just having that awareness of when those old thoughts or patterns are coming up and being able to just recognize it, without judgment and shift into a new focus or thought? What are some of the things that you're doing that's creating that for you?
Yeah. So definitely catching myself in my thoughts. It's so cool because before, like I feel like my thoughts controlled me, right? Like
Mm,
I don't like using the word negative, but my unfavorable thoughts, they controlled me, and they really kept me from stepping into my power. And it even kept me from like being creative and like showing up, doing my lives and writing my posts. And just because that chatter before was like, well, no one cares what you're saying, or like no one's watching, or all of those negative things. And definitely, inside the program, like I love the coaching calls that we have. I try to go to them as much as I can because I find them so helpful. And sometimes I'll be, venting to my husband about something. He'll say, "Jazz, like you got to go do a realign." I'm like, "Okay, I'll go do a realign." And I'll do a realign. It's like, whew, all right, I feel like a new person. I've got this, and I kind of move forward. So definitely having different techniques, even EFT, like different techniques to
mhm.
help me through. And probably one of the biggest things that has come out of being in this program is just connecting with my spirit. Like that is one thing that I've always wanted to do, and I didn't really know how.
Mm,
And now, like I meditate twice a day, like I do all these things. I do my, my morning alignment, like all these important things that help me show up to, because every day we can choose who we want to be,
yeah.
right? So I choose every day, and of course things come up, but again, I can make that choice and decide what I want my day to be like. What's my next thought, my next action, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does it feel to know that you have the ability to respond to life that way? You have the ability to choose, the next thought, like you said, like our pattern thoughts kind of come up, right? Like our subconscious mind is used to playing the same old loops and they come up, but there's an awareness that allows us to recognize that and then make the choice. How is that feeling for you that you have that ability now to respond in the way that you want?
It feels really powerful because
Yeah.
I used to get upset about, let's say I have a conversation with a potential person, that I get on a call with. Maybe that person would ghost me. And before I would let that control my entire day, and I'd have all
Mm,
these thoughts going through. But now it's like, hey, you know what? That's cool. The person's not ready, and that's fine. And I can't control that. But what I can control is my next action that I'm going to take. Right.
mhm.
So I feel very powerful in a sense that I've learned how to look at things differently, different perspectives. And I also know it's important to feel feelings, because we don't want to shove them aside, but then letting them go and then moving on. Because
Yeah.
I feel like also before I started working with you in this program, sometimes I would push feelings aside and not deal with it, and then later kind of blow over. So
Yeah.
like, I feel like that's really empowering as well, for sure.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
definitely back to the just think positively. It's
Mhm.
like, well, we often need to work through or recognize what's stopping us from thinking positively before we can just flip that switch. Right.
Yes.
And yeah, so you're not pushing aside your feelings or ignoring them or, bypassing them to just think positively.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how has knowing the way that you handle things, like the way you see the world, your Enneagram type, how has that helped you in that awareness and being able to see where you're able to make new choices?
It helps me a lot. It has helped me a lot. Even when I kind of look at not just my business, because my business is not me, it's part of me. There's also my family, my husband, like other things in life. Whereas before I started working with you, it was like everything was my business.
Yeah.
Right. So now, being able to step into that power and disconnecting from my business, like, okay, I finish my work at this amount, this time, I might go back on in the evening on these days, but I have those boundaries now. Whereas before I felt like I always had to work. I always had to check my phone. It's like, I want to go hang out with my kids. Like, I want to go do that. Right. And knowing my Enneagram type is really cool too, because it kind of shows as to why I do certain things. And it kind of helps me understand more who I am as a person as well. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely done a lot for me. And again, not just in my business, but in my personal life as well, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because when we create that awareness of ourselves, and we're setting the intention of how we want to show up and who we want to be, we're able to bring that to every area of our lives. Right. Because it's who we are, right? It's that inner, it's tapping into, like you said, your spirit, like your true nature. And then you bring that to your business. You bring that to your relationships with your family, with your partner, with your friends. You bring that to your clients. You bring that to your own health and vitality and wellness. Right. And I love that. I love that that's, we're moving more towards a business building, structure in our program, but the foundation is all from within.
It's so true. So
yeah,
true.
Yeah. And then we can bring that to so many different places in our lives. Like, one thing I noticed in your journey is that you started posting a lot more pictures of spending time with your kids, going for walks, like those things that really light you up. And, really, I mean, isn't that the reason we start a business, is because we want more of that?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And I feel like, the times before I became more aware, I was just at the computer all the time and I didn't realize that it was sucking the creativity out of me. Right. Like actually going out and doing the things that I want to do. Like the other day, instead of working first thing in the morning, I actually took an hour and just journaled, and I did some meditation. I just kind of did whatever I wanted to do. I was like, okay, today I'm going to start an hour later just because I feel like it. And because I can, reminding myself that I'm my own boss and this is,
Right.
this is my business. Like, I don't have to do what I'm supposed to do. I do what I want. So feels good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And how did it feel to take that hour
It was
for
great.
yourself? Yeah.
It was great because I made that choice. I said to myself, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to feel bad or guilty afterwards because this is my time. And then I'll move on. So yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Because we begin to see that those moments of taking that time for yourself, of doing the journaling and the introspection, or just doing nothing, right? Just allowing yourself to be is so important to your creativity in your business, to recharging your batteries, and that you can do that without feeling guilty, because you begin to realize how essential and important that is. It's just as essential as and important as writing the next post. Right? Like, it can't all be about action. There's got to be that balance.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
Awesome. So what's possible for you from here?
The sky's the limit. Honestly, I feel that way. I really do. And I mean, I know it takes time to build a business. Like I fully get that. But I know that if I keep, just believing in myself and keep showing up and taking aligned action, I'm a true believer that, the universe will bring to us when we're ready for it. Right. We just have to be ready for it. And I feel like my business is going to grow, and I want to get to a point where I'm going to hire a VA one day. And, I want to have consistent clients come in every month. And I used to not be able to say that with confidence because I was scared, but now I know it's possible. I don't know when it'll happen. Like, I'm sure, it's in the works. So I'm ready for it whenever that time comes. I just feel really confident now. Confident, powerful, ready. I believe in myself. I believe in my program. Like, I just feel really good. I do.
And you've even shifted your program a little bit to incorporate more of the things that you really love to teach and things that you've learned. And And you've been able to do that confidently. Like, I know this is what is going to serve my
Yes.
community. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Prior to, I was focused more sort of on one specific area of health, whereas now it's more of a holistic experience, energy, mindfulness, like all of those things. I'm just really excited about it. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely aligned for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your journey, for being so honest and vulnerable, because I know that there are so many women out there who can relate to how you were feeling. And
Mhm.
because it really is the entrepreneurial journey, and that you were able to make the decision to do what you needed to do to shift, to get the support you needed, so that you didn't give up on your business and yourself, and you're creating that space to serve more people, so that, yeah, you create that ripple effect in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, if there's anyone in our group or watching this who would like to connect with you and maybe work with you, hear more about your journey, where is a great place for them to do that?
So I'm on Facebook. My business page is Blackwood Nutrition. And I have a Facebook group called Overcoming Healthcare Burnout. So you can find me there.
Okay, great. And we'll post a link to your Facebook business page in this post so that people can click on
Awesome.
that as well. And you're in this group, so if they want to, they can just leave a comment below and you'll be able to connect with them that way as well.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Jasmin. I so appreciate your time and sharing your story with us.
Of course. Thank you.